Hi everyone, so today I wanted to actually share this layout with you and you can see this is the first page that I've already done, and I was going to record this and then just decided to start scrapping rather than actually recording. And so I'm doing a second page, so I thought I would record the second page for you. So to start with, my inspiration came from some handmade embellishments that I had and this cloud print from Shimelle Starshine collection. And you can see there I've layered up the clouds and just showing you the paper pack that I used. And then I forgot to press record on the second layout, so I got partway through and then realized I wasn't recording. So rather than show you the process video for the layout, I thought I'd just show you what I did with the clouds to kind of help give it some dimension, because I was really happy with how it turned out. So you can see here I cut out that little cloud from the big cluster. So the page originally had some individual clouds and some sort of groups of clouds, but I didn't want those big massive groups of clouds all spread out across the layout. So the way I got around this was by trimming out some of the clouds off the big clusters, and then you can see in the top left there there's sort of like a little bit of a funny gap on that cloud, but I'm going to cover it up by layering these on top. So I used, I've got two different dimensional foam adhesive depths that I'm using. So the first one is kind of a skinnier one, and so it lifts it off the page a little bit. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to come back with a smaller cloud and give it the thicker dimensional adhesive behind the back to give it even like a third layer on top of that. Now, if you didn't have the different thicknesses in your dimensional adhesive, you could just stick two together, but it helps to give it that little bit of depth and create a bit of interest on the layout. And I think it worked out really well. And what you do is just, to get the best out of those clouds, what I did was the clouds that ran off the end of the paper, I actually used that as the edge of the layout. And then, just trimmed the little clouds in and around that. So you can see I'm looking at adding that handmade embellishment there now. And it takes me a while to figure out where I want this, because I'm limited by how I can lay the clouds out. It means that, the embellishment doesn't seem to quite sit where I want it to. So I've done that in all of the three embellishment cluster areas, is to give a bit of dimension by sticking one lot of clouds to the actual background as a flat, using a double-sided tape so it's quite flat. And then the second layer of clouds I've put in that thinner foam tape or foam squares, and then that final layer of clouds actually sits quite high off the page and just helps to create a bit of interest there. And then I've added those handmade embellishments. So it just so happened that those handmade embellishments tied in well with the colour scheme of the clouds. So then this embellishment that I add as the final one on the page actually had some of these little glittery epoxy dots on them. So I decided that I probably should add those to each of the other embellishment clusters. And then once I've added one, I decide that one looks a bit lonely in each cluster, and I go ahead and add 3 to each cluster. So unfortunately I wasn't able to share this full layout with you, but I was able to give you a bit of an idea of how the layout came about. So as I said, it was based on the fact that I had these handmade embellishments that I was hoping to use, and I thought that cloud paper from Shimelle Starshine collection would go really well as part of the embellishment clusters. And I think I would never use a sheet like that as a 12 by 12. I think it's too busy for the way that I scrapbook and my style, but definitely those kind of sheets are awesome for cutting apart and using in different ways by embellishing. And so the other papers that I'm using, the majority of them are from the Shimelle collection, but I've also pulled in that long strip of paper on this layout for because it coordinated well, it was from another collection that I had, an older paper pack that I had. And then I'm just thinking about adding some of this flare, but decide that if I add it to one area, then I probably need to add it to all three, because the clusters are sort of very similar, and I think that would be a bit of overkill, so I just decide not to add it there. And then the last little touch on these clouds is to actually add some Mr. Huey's Silver Mist, which I did to the other page as well. And the reasoning behind this, first of all, there was a lot of white space, particularly on this page, because a lot of the layout is focused on the right hand side. But I also thought that the mist drops, the silver mist drops, might look a little bit like raindrops around the clouds, so I thought that was quite cute. So I did concentrate most of it underneath the clouds. There were a few bits that landed on top of the clouds or above, but yeah, the majority of it was sort of underneath. And I was a little bit worried here about the photo. The mist was going a bit wild, so just decided to cover that up with a bit of packaging, so I could add a bit more to that without worrying about dropping on the photo. So it is a 2-page spread. The title goes across 2 pages. So the first page says Bring On Summer, and then the second page says And Adventure, and that little ampersand comes from the Shimelle paper pack, the cut apart sheet as well. So just adding a little bit more mist to that area, and I think I come back and add a little bit more to that top right cluster once I move the photo away. I think it still looks a little bit bare, so add a little bit more to that. So unfortunately it wasn't able to be a process video today, but hopefully you've got an idea of, the rest is just layering paper, but how to cluster those embellishment clouds. So I'll give you a look at both pages now, and there'll be a couple of still shots at the end. But I hope you enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching. Give it a thumbs up if you did like the video, or comment below, and yeah, I'll catch you in the next video. Thanks again for watching.